the truth you've always felt but never knew how to name. Have you ever noticed how some people don't need to raise their voice to be respected? They don't fight for attention. They don't justify themselves. They don't explain why they deserve basic decency. And somehow, no one ever dares to test them. It's almost annoying. Meanwhile, your experience is the complete opposite. You need to repeat yourself to be heard. You need to explain your intentions so people don't misunderstand you. You swallow small insults, subtle jabs, canceled plans, and disrespect disguised as "it's not a big deal." People interrupt you without hesitation. Some talk over you like your words don't carry weight. Some treat your time as optional. And the painful part? You've felt this for years, maybe since childhood, as if the world had quietly assigned you a role. The one who adjusts, who forgives, who tolerates, who smooths things over, who avoids conflict, who stays understanding no matter what. And you never understood why. Here's the truth, simple, obvious, and brutal. You're not being seen as kind. You're being seen as someone trained not to react. And the world loves people like that. People who don't push back. People who don't impose consequences. People who never make others uncomfortable. People who are safe to disrespect. Those people get used. Not because the world is evil, but because it's opportunistic. And here's the uncomfortable part. That coworker who never takes you seriously, that friend who only shows up when it benefits them, that person who constantly oversteps your boundaries, they're not doing it by accident. They're doing it because you've taught them, silently and consistently, that with you, this behavior is allowed. But before you blame yourself, pause. This happens to millions of people. Most never notice when their value starts slipping into the discount section. Most never notice when their dignity becomes a negotiable item in other people's emotional economy. But there's another group, a tiny group, that never deals with this. Ever. And no, it's not because they're richer, prettier, smarter, or more charismatic. It's because they understand a psychological principle older than electricity. A principle that's been written, studied, and whispered for centuries. The world respects those who know their worth and steps on those who hand it away for free. Once you understand this, everything about your life changes. Today is the beginning of that shift.
Let's rip off a band-aid you've been avoiding your entire life. Your desire to be liked is the reason people don't respect you. You were raised to believe that being agreeable is a virtue, that being liked opens doors, that if you're friendly, patient, flexible, understanding, and forgiving, people will appreciate you. But here's what nobody ever told you. When you need to be liked, you make yourself powerless. Because the moment people realize that your behavior depends on their approval, you've already lost control. They know exactly how to influence you. They know which buttons to push. They know you won't walk away even when you should. And once someone realizes that you're afraid of disappointing them, they begin to treat you differently. Not always consciously, not always maliciously, but inevitably. Because the human mind is predictable. We respect what we can't easily influence, and we exploit what we can. Think about it. People who crave approval become painfully easy to read. You smile when you're uncomfortable, you nod even when you disagree, you apologize for things that aren't your fault, you soften your truth so no one gets upset, you say it's fine when it's not fine at all. And slowly, quietly, you stop being a person people take seriously and become a person people take advantage of. You become predictable. And once you're predictable, you're controllable. And once you're controllable, you're forgettable. Meanwhile, the people you respect the most, are they the ones trying to be liked? Or the ones who seem perfectly okay whether people approve of them or not? People are drawn to independence, to confidence, to emotional self-sufficiency, to those who don't need validation to function. It's human psychology 101. What is scarce is valued. What is abundant is ignored. When you chase approval, you make your presence cheap. You teach people that your self-worth is negotiable, that their opinion of you matters more than your opinion of yourself. And here's the darkest part. The harder you try to be liked, the less people actually like you. Because deep down, everyone can sense desperation. It leaks through your tone, your posture, your eyes. And desperation, especially emotional desperation, repels respect like nothing else. This is why Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Not fear as in terror, fear as in consequence. People respect what has consequences. People ignore what doesn't. And the sad truth is this: when you make being liked your priority, you remove every consequence from your relationships. You make it safe for people to mistreat you. And once you become safe to disrespect, respect becomes impossible. Let's talk about something most people never notice, yet it controls every relationship in their lives: the cost of mistreating you. Every person you interact with is constantly, often unconsciously, calculating one thing: what happens if I cross this person's line? And for most people, the answer is nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's why they do it. If someone can disrespect you without losing access to you, they will. If they can ignore your messages without consequences, they will. If they can take your effort for granted, they will. If they can cancel on you without repercussion, they will. And if they can drain your energy, your time, your kindness, your patience, all while giving nothing back, they absolutely will. Not because the world is full of villains, but because the world is full of opportunists. That's human nature. We push where there is no resistance. We avoid where there is a cost. Think about the people in your life who never get tested. No one speaks to them carelessly. No one disrespects their time. No one interrupts them mid-sentence. No one forgets to follow through on promises. No one plays games with their attention. And it's not because they intimidate others. It's because crossing them comes with a price. Crossing you doesn't. This is the painful truth most people spend their whole lives avoiding. You didn't get disrespected because people are cruel. You got disrespected because people knew they could. But let's go deeper. Disrespect doesn't start obvious. It starts small. A delayed reply, a sarcastic comment, a missed thank you, a broken promise, a joke that hits too close, a request that takes and never gives. Tiny things, almost unnoticeable things. Until one day, these small moments translate into something much bigger. A quiet, unspoken agreement that your comfort matters less than theirs. And once that dynamic forms, it rarely reverses, unless you force it. Here's the part that stings the most. People treat you based on the standards you enforce, not the standards you believe in. You can have the highest values in the world. You can be kind, loyal, generous, understanding, patient. You can be all the things a good person should be. But if you don't enforce consequences, you're giving everyone permission to walk all over you. Because respect doesn't come from being nice. It's earned by having a backbone that people recognize, even if you never speak it aloud. You don't need to yell. You don't need to threaten. You don't need to prove anything. You simply need one thing: a willingness to walk away. Nothing shifts the power dynamic more deeply than that. And this is where the transformation begins.
Here's something that will change the way you see every relationship you've ever had. Every interaction, every conversation, every silence, every decision is about control. Not dominance, not manipulation, but control in the sense of influence, direction, emotional leverage, and psychological positioning. And here's the part no one wants to admit. If you don't know who is in control, it's not you. Most people hand over control without even noticing it. Not because they're weak, but because they were raised to confuse peace with passivity and kindness with self-sacrifice. Let me show you how approval-seeking destroys your control. Every time you change your behavior to avoid someone's disapproval, you give them control. You shape your personality around what they want. You dilute your truth so they don't react negatively. You suppress your instincts so they won't be offended. Piece by piece, you hand over the steering wheel of your life. Every time you bite your tongue to keep the peace, you give them control. You silence your needs. You silence your boundaries. You silence your discomfort. You silence everything that makes you human, just so someone else can stay comfortable. Peace without self-respect is just obedience. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you give them control. Your time becomes theirs. Your energy becomes theirs. Your availability becomes theirs. Your identity becomes something shaped by other people's expectations. And here's the paradox. People don't even respect you for doing it. They just learn that your wants don't matter. But now let's flip the coin. People who are not addicted to approval, the ones who move through the world with quiet confidence, who seem untouchable, who never get manipulated, they operate completely differently. They keep control because they don't need permission to be themselves. They say what they mean. They do what they think is right. They make decisions the moment they know what they want, not when others approve of it. And because of that, they dictate the terms of their relationships, not through force, not through intimidation, but through emotional independence. This is what makes them powerful. They're not unbothered because nothing affects them. They're unbothered because no one's opinion has the power to move them from their center. And here's the psychological bomb most people can't handle. The moment you stop needing someone's approval, you become uncontrollable. All the tricks people use, guilt, shame, silence, distance, disappointment, coldness, stop working on you. Not because you became cold, but because you stopped treating their approval like oxygen. When you break free from the approval trap, 3 things happen. 1, people can no longer manipulate you. They can't pressure you. They can't guilt trip you into compliance. Their emotional tactics fail because you're not emotionally dependent on them. 2, your decision-making becomes shockingly clear. You finally get to ask, what do I want? Instead of, what will make them like me? You act based on direction, not fear. 3, your relationships change dramatically. Some will collapse, and that's good. Those were the relationships built on your compliance. But the ones that remain, they become stronger, deeper, more respectful, because they're finally built on equality, not emotional dependency. And here's the psychological shift that transforms your entire identity. You stop thinking, I hope they like me, and you start thinking, they need to earn my respect. That's the moment you become untouchable.
Now that you understand the psychology behind approval, control, and consequence, it's time to step into the part that truly changes everything. The rules. Not theories, not feel-good advice, not vague concepts, but behavioral laws, the kind that silently reshape how everyone sees you, treats you, and responds to you. These rules aren't loud. They're not dramatic. They're not aggressive. They're precise. They're calculated. They're Machiavellian in the most strategic sense of the word. Let's begin. Rule 1. Speak less, act more. Most people talk themselves out of respect. They explain too much. They justify too much. They apologize too much. They narrate their intentions as if they're submitting essays for approval. Talking too much is the fastest way to broadcast insecurity. People who command respect do something different. They speak only when their words matter, and they let their silence do the work. Silence is pressure. Silence is power. Silence forces people to consider your presence before they speak. But here's the deeper truth. Actions expose your value. Words expose your need. Stop explaining why you made a decision. Just make it. Stop telling people how they should treat you. Show them through consequences. Stop arguing to prove your point. Walk away from people who can't see it. When someone crosses your line, don't lecture them. Don't debate them. Don't negotiate. Just enforce the standard, instantly, quietly, and without discussion. As Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must be both. Be the fox, strategic. Be the lion, decisive. But never be the dog begging for understanding." Rule 2. Never chase approval, ever. Let me be as clear as possible. If you chase someone's approval, you lose their respect. Immediately, without exception. The moment you try to win someone over, whether through over-explaining, over-giving, or over-texting, you place yourself beneath them. Respect cannot survive that hierarchy. Stop double-texting. Stop trying to fix the vibe. Stop rushing to prove you're valuable. Stop trying to decode someone's silence like it's sacred scripture. If they like you, good. If they don't, their loss. This indifference, genuine indifference, is magnetic. People chase what isn't chasing them. Rule 3. Stay cold and calm under attack. Weak people have predictable reactions. They get defensive, they get emotional, they get destabilized by pressure. Strong people? They become colder, calmer, sharper. When someone insults you, belittles you, or tries to provoke you, your reaction tells the entire room who holds the power. If you rise to the bait, you've already lost, because your emotional impulse revealed that someone else's behavior can control your state. But when you stay composed, unbothered, measured, unfazed, you immediately take the upper hand. People fear what they can't emotionally manipulate. Control your reaction, and you control the dynamic. Rule 4. Be unpredictable. Predictable people are easily controlled. Everyone knows how they'll respond. Everyone knows their limits. Everyone knows what to expect. Predictability is emotional vulnerability. So, here's the rule. Be consistent in your values, but unpredictable in your responses. Sometimes you help, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you respond quickly. Sometimes you don't respond at all. Sometimes you're available. Sometimes you disappear into your own silence. This unpredictability creates psychological weight. It forces others to pay attention. They can't assume they have access to you. They must earn it. That alone builds respect faster than any speech. As Machiavelli said, "It is far safer to be feared than loved when the two cannot exist together." Not fear of aggression, fear of uncertainty, fear of consequence. Rule 5. Enforce boundaries swiftly and silently. A boundary that requires multiple warnings is not a boundary. It's a suggestion. Strong people do not negotiate standards. Strong people do not explain standards. Strong people do not plead for standards to be respected. They enforce them. Once, cleanly, quietly. Someone disrespects you? Reduce access, reduce energy, reduce presence. No speeches, no emotional displays, no dramatics, just correction through action. People learn faster from silence than from lectures. These rules aren't just strategies. They're a new operating system, a new identity, a new blueprint for how you move through the world. Master them, and you stop asking for respect. You start commanding it.
Here's a rule of human psychology that governs everything around you, whether you acknowledge it or not. What is scarce becomes valuable. What is abundant becomes ignored. This applies to money, opportunity, beauty, status, and especially you. But most people live their lives believing the opposite. They think being always available makes them loved. Saying yes makes them appreciated. Giving unlimited access makes them respected. Showing constant support makes them indispensable. The truth is far more brutal. Availability breeds contempt. Scarcity breeds respect. If everyone can reach you, you become background noise. If everyone has access to your time becomes worthless. If everyone can interrupt you, your presence becomes ordinary. If you never say no, your yes becomes meaningless. Let me show you exactly why scarcity is one of the strongest sources of social power. The paradox of constant availability. When you're always there for people, always answering immediately, always showing up when they call, always dropping everything to help, always rescuing, solving, comforting, supporting, they don't think, wow, this person is amazing. They think, I can have this whenever I want. And the human mind does something predictable. It stops valuing what it can always access. This is why the people who treat you the worst are often the ones you've treated the best. Not because they're bad people, but because you created zero scarcity around yourself. Zero distance, zero boundaries, zero mystique, zero rarity. The result? You become emotionally inexpensive, and people treat you according to your perceived cost. The power of strategic distance. Now let's look at the people with real social weight. The ones who walk into a room and shift the atmosphere without saying a word. Are they the ones who are always available, always saying yes, always picking up the phone, always responding instantly, always present in every conversation? Never. They are selective, measured, intentional. They appear when they choose, not when demanded. Their presence has value because it is not guaranteed. Distance isn't coldness. Distance is clarity. It's the psychological message that says, my time has worth. My energy has limits. Access to me is earned. And once people sense this, their behavior changes. Suddenly, they think before speaking. They choose their words more carefully. They respect your time. They hesitate before crossing a line. They feel the weight of your presence and the weight of losing it. That's power. The fewer people know about you, the more they wonder. Machiavelli famously said, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you really are." Mystery pulls attention. Predictability kills it. When you overshare your thoughts, your feelings, your plans, your daily life, your schedule, your availability, you eliminate all mystery. And what is fully known loses its gravity. Strategic distance doesn't mean disappearing.
It means becoming selective about what you reveal to whom. You shouldn't be mysterious to manipulate others. You should be mysterious because you value your inner world more than the approval of the crowd. People respect those who guard themselves. The self-reinforcing loop of scarcity. Here's where things get interesting. Scarcity creates respect. Respect reinforces scarcity. The less available you become, the more people want your presence. The more they want your presence, the better they treat you. The better they treat you, the more selective you become. The more selective you become, the more valuable you appear. This is the loop powerful people live in. But there's a catch, and this is where most people fail. You will lose people when you create distance. Yes, you will. Some will disappear the moment they realize they can't use you anymore. Some will resent losing their access to your time. Some will fade away because they only valued you when you were easy, convenient, predictable, and self-sacrificing. But the truth you must accept is anyone who leaves because you stopped being their doormat was never a real connection. Let them go. Scarcity cleans your life. It removes parasites, energy leeches, opportunists, and emotional freeloaders. What remains is rare. People who respect you, people who value you, people who see you as equal, not as a resource. These are the ones worth keeping. Distance sharpens your mind. When you stop managing everyone else's emotions, you can finally focus on your own life. When you stop being constantly available, your goals finally get the attention they've been starving for. When you stop giving away your time, you reclaim your ability to think deeply and clearly. Powerful people often seem slightly detached, not because they don't care, but because they don't care too much. Distance brings perspective. Perspective brings clarity, and clarity commands respect.
By now, you understand the psychology. You understand the traps. You understand the rules, the consequences, the dynamics, the shifts. But here's the part no one prepares you for. Your entire life changes once you stop giving your power away. Not slowly, immediately, and not subtly, dramatically. Let's break down exactly what happens when you start enforcing boundaries, controlling your presence, and valuing yourself the way others should have valued you all along. 1. Your relationships transform, for better and for worse. The moment you stop tolerating disrespect, people react in one of two ways. Some people will vanish. They disappear because they were never there for you, only for the version of you they could use. They leave because you're no longer emotionally cheap, you're no longer easily accessible, you're no longer a free resource, you're no longer their emotional furniture. Their absence is not a loss, it's a filtration system. Let them fall away. Others will rise to meet the new standard. These are the real ones, the rare ones, the ones who value connection, not convenience. When you raise your self-respect, people with real character rise with you, and people with no character fall behind. This is nature sorting your life. 2. Your confidence doesn't grow, it detonates. People think confidence comes from compliments, success, praise, or validation. Wrong. True confidence comes from this single realization. I don't need anyone's approval to be myself. When that truth finally sinks into your bones, things shift. You stop overthinking, you stop self-editing, you stop apologizing for existing. You stop waiting for permission. You stop asking for validation. Your voice gets bolder. Your decisions get sharper. Your energy gets heavier. Your presence gets undeniable.
You walk differently. You speak differently. You look people in the eye without flinching. And people feel the difference. Confidence is not volume. Confidence is certainty. 3. Opportunities start coming to you. There's something magnetic about a person who doesn't need validation. People gravitate toward them. Why? Because independence creates emotional gravity. When you're not desperate, you become credible. Your words carry weight. Your presence feels intentional. People trust your judgment. People want your input. You become the person people consult, not the person they control. Doors open because self-respect demands space, and space attracts possibility. 4. Your stress levels evaporate. You know it's exhausting? Trying to manage other people's emotions, trying to be liked, trying to be accepted, trying to avoid conflict, trying to keep everyone comfortable, trying to be whatever people want you to be. It's suffocating, even when you don't notice it. But the moment you let go of approval, your mind unclenches, your chest opens, your energy returns, your peace comes back. Life becomes simple again. Not easy, but simple. Because now, instead of managing others, you manage yourself. And that's the only thing that was ever in your control anyway. 5. You become psychologically free. This is the real transformation, the one people spend their entire lives chasing. Psychological freedom. The kind that makes you unmanipulable, unbreakable, unbothered, unattached, undeniable. You no longer shapeshift for acceptance. You no longer bargain for respect. You no longer crave validation like oxygen. You no longer fear being disliked, misunderstood, or judged. You become someone the world can't cheaply influence. As Machiavelli wrote, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." Respect doesn't come from labels, roles, or achievements. It comes from the way you carry yourself and the boundaries you refuse to compromise. And once you reach this level, the old version of you, the one that tolerated everything, the one that begged for crumbs, the one that kept the peace by destroying itself, that version dies. And what replaces it is someone you've probably never met. Someone grounded, respected, steady, self-possessed, and unapologetically whole. Someone who walks into a room and changes it simply by being there. That's who you're becoming. Not someday, not eventually, now.
You've walked through every truth most people spend their whole lives avoiding. You've faced the uncomfortable reality of why you've been disrespected. You learned the psychology behind approval, control, consequence, scarcity, boundaries, and self-worth. And now you stand at a line most people never cross. The line between who you used to be and who you are about to become. This final part is not about theory, it's about identity. It's about choosing today whether you stay the person the world walked over or you become the person the world steps carefully around. Because here's something you need to understand deeply. The future version of you, the respected one, the powerful one, the self-assured one, isn't waiting to be discovered. It's waiting to be built by you through action. Let's bring everything together. The old you was built on survival. The new you is built on standards. The old you said yes to everything out of fear. The new you says no without guilt. The old you tolerated disrespect to avoid conflict. The new you enforces consequences calmly and instantly. The old you gave without limits. The new you gives only where respect is mutual.
The old you lived for approval. The new you lives by principle. And here's the part people underestimate. You don't become respected by demanding respect. You become respected by refusing to accept anything less. Your silence will start commanding more attention than your explanations ever did. Your distance will begin teaching lessons your words never could. Your boundaries will recalibrate the way people treat you. Your standards will filter out the weak and pull in the worthy. Your presence will become something people consider carefully before they misuse. This is what real transformation feels like. Not loud, not dramatic, but undeniable. The world needs fewer people pleasers and more people with spines. Look around. Everywhere you go, you'll see people terrified of being disliked. People who bend, fold, and shrink themselves just to fit into places they were never meant to be. But the world doesn't change because of people like that. The world changes because of people who stand their ground, people who know who they are, people who refuse to trade self-respect for comfort, people who understand one truth. Approval is cheap. Respect is priceless. Everyone is begging to be liked. Be the one who doesn't need it. The final shift from surviving to commanding. This is the moment everything flips. From, I hope they like me, to, they will treat me with respect or lose access to me. From, what do they think of me, to, what do I think of myself? From, I need their approval, to, my worth is not up for negotiation. When you live from this center, three things happen effortlessly. People treat you differently because they feel the cost of mistreating you. You move differently because you're no longer performing for acceptance. Your life becomes yours again because you reclaim the control you didn't know you'd given away. This is the rebirth, not into someone colder, but someone stronger. Not into someone cruel, but someone sovereign. Not into someone distant, but someone intentional. Someone who knows their value and refuses to shrink for anyone. The final word. If you've made it here, you're already different from most people. Most people turn away the moment the truth gets uncomfortable. You stayed, you listened, you faced the mirror without flinching. And now you know what to do. Start with the next interaction you have. Set one boundary. Choose yourself once. Pause before explaining. Say no without guilt. Respond slower. Withdraw your energy from places that drain you. Offer your presence only where it's earned. These small choices accumulate. They harden into identity. They transform you from the inside out. The respected version of you is already forming. The only question left is, how long will you make that version wait? If this message opened your eyes, hit the like button. If someone in your life needs to hear this, share it with them. And if you want more content that cuts through the lies and helps you reclaim your power, subscribe and step into a community built on strength, not weakness. Now type this in the comments. Respect is my birthright. Because it is. And now, finally, you're ready to live like it.